Good everyone. I'll be engaging you in a conversation on integrating culture and heritage in climate planning in Africa for the climate vulnerability training for Africa. Let me start by introducing myself. I am Olufemi ADETUNJI, a Nigerian and a proud African. I work as a research assistant at School of Architecture and Built Environment, University of Newcastle, Australia. I'm awaiting confirmation of my PhD degree from the same university. I'm also a member of ICOMOS in Australia and Nigeria, and I've been involved in few other international scientific councils of ICOMOS. Our conversation today focuses on trends in climate planning in Africa. We'll also highlight two climate policies, discuss the challenges to integration of culture and heritage in climate planning in Africa, as well as discuss different ways that heritage site authorities can contribute to development and implementation of climate policies. After this, we'll then conclude the conversation and introduce other reading resources to you. Climate planning in Africa is connected to the development policy for Africa adopted in 2015. The development policy is called African Union Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and has seven aspirations. Especially aspirations 1 and 5 are put culture and heritage as central to prosperity and development of Africa. You can read more about AU Agenda 2063 in the reading resources at the end of this conversation. Threats and risk of climate change facing Africa can't be overstated, as it has been projected that by 2100, observed surface temperature would increase by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. Also, rainy period are shortening and rain become more intense. The observed changes will impact more negatively on various aspects of our livelihood as Africans. I don't want to sound too futuristic, but the evidences of negative impact connected to changes in climate abound. For instance, in the Sahel Sudan zone, which includes parts of Nigeria, Niger, Chad, and Mali, there are conflicts between pastoralists and farmers as a result of the destruction of farms by cattle sheep in search for green pasture. Also, massive climate-induced displacement in the Sudan. As it is, you can reflect on various negative events in your countries that are connected to changes in climate. As it is, various scholars from Africa and outside Africa have concluded that Africa will remain at the forefront of climate change impact, not because the continent is the highest carbon producer, but due to weakened economic, environmental, and social systems, and governance fragility at national, regional, and local level. As more people are becoming aware of the immense risk posed by climate change, but prioritization of addressing climate change remain negligible. This necessitates governments of Africa and countries, regions in Africa to develop policies and roadmaps to address climate change impact in their respective contexts. For instance, South Africa South Africa government adopted national climate change response strategy. In Ethiopia, we have climate resilient green economic policy and many more as is shown on the slide. In this conversation, we'll be highlighting two climate policies, and I would like you to note that close to all African states have adopted various forms of climate policies. Therefore, the challenge lies in its planning and implementation. We'll talk more on this in later slides. In Burkina Faso, for instance, Various sectoral and cross-sectoral policies are adopted, focusing on agriculture, forestry, water management, environmental and natural resources. However, culture and heritage was not expressly addressed in the policies but are implied or indirectly considered, especially under agriculture, environmental and natural resources, and infrastructure and housing. You can read Burkina Faso policy in the reading resources at the end of this conversation. In Nigeria as well, the findings are not outrightly different, as culture and heritage were not directly considered, but culture and heritage are also implied under human settlement and housing, agriculture, and biodiversity. I would like to note that as heritage professionals in Africa, our focus is to develop culture and heritage centric climate policies to demonstrate the soft power of culture and heritage. The challenges to integrating culture and heritage in climate planning are multidimensional and complex, but let's break it down. Climate planning in Africa is largely centralized, politicized, and top focused, coupled with the fragility and instabilities across various African states and communities. Also, inadequate cooperation across countries, regions, and languages. For instance, Anglophone and Francophone countries are not collaborating sufficiently to achieve the common cause of addressing climate change. Other challenges I identified are on the slide, as you can add to them based on your context. These are the other challenges I identified, and I've said you can add to them based on your context. Therefore, we need to devise sustainable and inclusive approach to how heritage professionals and managers can contribute to climate planning at the local level to national level. As heritage professionals or organizations, we need to intentionally collaborate with relevant communities across professions and places. Also, as partakers of this training, you need to make deliberate interventions to pass on the skills and knowledge gained to your colleagues and others within your organization. Also, I would advise us not to wait for the development of culture and heritage centric climate policies at the national level, because this takes time and it will take time. And we need to start at the place, at the site level that we are managing. And also, I would like to emphasize the important document prepared by the Climate Cultural Heritage Working Group of ICOMOS. This document is part of the reading resources. The topic of the report is the title of the report is the future of our past, engaging cultural heritage in climate action. If we turn to page 22 and 23, we see a lot of heritage methodology toolkit uh, that can be implemented at the site level, and this will contribute to integrating culture and heritage in climate policies in various localities. And also, I would like to advise that this is based on my experience in in some of the climate interventions I've been involved with in Nigeria. We need to celebrate small progresses and achievements that we have in the process of addressing climate change impact. What does this mean? For instance, when you implement a strategy that addresses flooding that has been affecting the heritage site for years, and you were able to secure the heritage site from destruction and inundation from flooding, you need to use this, leverage this success to create broad awareness about how the strategy has helped to protect the artifact and the heritage. Uh, the reason is people want to be involved in actions that are on the path of success. I would like to conclude this conversation by saying without significant intervention, including social, environmental, cultural, and economic resources, some of Africa's most important heritage will be lost as a result of direct and indirect impact of climate change over the coming decades. There is need for research, evidence-based research into the impact of climate change on different forms of cultural heritage in Africa, and to highlight the possible harmful effects of these losses on the society generally. And we need to be cross-sectoral, leveraging culture and heritage to address impact of climate change on agriculture, for instance, on forestry, for instance, on food security, for instance, on health and other sectors that influences the well-being and livelihood of Africans. To read more about climate planning in Africa, I've compiled few resources from various African countries. You can access the reading resources using this link or the QR code. Thank you very much, and I'll look forward to your questions and we'll have responses together. Thank you.